Hi, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to this interview where we will have Alessandro Poli and Alice Buratto from Wabbit, a company that does it's the best company translating video games in Italy. And welcome and thank you for being there. I am Alfonso Gonzalez, as you can read here below, and I am the Translators CEO and founder. Um, we will be conducting this interview for more or less 20 minutes, half an hour. Please, if you are watching us, you can drop your questions in the comments on any social media you are. We will see the questions and we will try to answer them. You can ask us about anything related to video games, to localization, to the industry. Also, today we have like a cloudy, sunny afternoon here in Estepona, in Malaga, in the south of Spain, where I'm based. I hope you can hear me well. And now, without much further ado, let's welcome bigger up for the great, only, amazing, fantastic Alice Buratto and Alessandro Poli. Hi, Alice. Hi, Alessandro. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Um, as I was saying, you are Wabbit. You are. I was going to say you are part of Wabbit, but you are Wabbit. You, Alessandro, correct me if I am wrong, but you are the founder, the CEO of the
Yes.
company. And what is Wabbit, and how did it start?
Well, it started a few years ago now. Between 2016 and 2017, we started to work. We were just a couple translators that started to work as freelancer in this area. Initially, we worked very little with video games. We worked more on the technical manuals and some those kinds of texts. But when we decided to find a way to work in the field that we enjoy the most, so as to say, video games, comics, tabletop games, for example. So we decided to pull all our resources together, all our contacts, and we started to work initially in a bit of an informal way. And then we noticed that our clients were very happy. We're very happy to have experts in the field that enjoy their work and could take on bigger and bigger projects. So we decided, why don't we create a company of some way? And so Wabbit was born officially, and from there we started to grow year after year, and now from 2 people we are 8, and we plan to grow more in the future if we can.
Fantastic. Of course, you will. That's a question I have. Has this growth been continuous? I mean, I'm thinking also of the years of the pandemic, and now with artificial intelligence. Have you noticed any like, those were hard times, or these are being harder times with artificial intelligence, or in the video game industry, which we know it's a very strong industry, you haven't noticed anything?
Well, the video game industry by itself is very strong, is still very strong, and during the pandemic had a very big boom because everybody was stuck at home and they needed something to do, and what better way to be in contact with friends as to play some sort of game online or chat or whatever. So a lot of online games had a big explosion in players, and we didn't honestly see any reduced requests for translation, at least. But yes, the advent of the AI in the field of translation did change some things, but I don't think that the request for good translations in games ever reduced in those last few years. So I believe that this is still a very healthy industry, and our hope is to grow because our work is increased year after year, even after the pandemic, even after the advent of machine translation. And so we hope that we can show our clients that the solution for success in this field is not having a cheap translation done by AI and just checked by someone, but to have something that was handcrafted and written by someone who understands the subject matter and enjoys what they're doing, and in the end create something that is very human, because it's human creation. A video game is still a human creation. And I think the translation needs to reflect that.
But is it something that you have adopted in your workflow in your company, the use of artificial intelligence to do or to part or of your workflows, or to reduce the amount of, I don't know, is it something you use, or you follow other workflows that do not incorporate artificial intelligence?
No, we had a few clients that asked us to work on machine translation post-editing, but we are avoiding them even more. And we internally do not use AI. We strongly do not support the use of AI, especially during any creative process. I'm sure that algorithm and AI could be useful in reducing the workload for menial tasks or other kind of tasks that do not require creativity at all. But AI in, for example, translation or art, I don't think it's something that has any real value in the end.
No, I completely agree with you. Alice, I have a question for you. The first question is, we know Alessandro is the CEO, is managing everything. What is your role at Wabbit?
I work at Wabbit as a translator, so I mainly my main role is translating, localize, and review video game translation. Sometimes technical translation, but in a smaller quantity. Since we are a team, every one of us has also a second role to support the company, and I choose to work also in marketing, so I specialized in this field, and I try to follow and develop the marketing side of Wabbit towards social media and articles, writing articles on our blog. I can do it when I have time. Sometimes it's a bit difficult because we have there are months in the year when there's a peak of requests and in translation for new video games, for example in the summer. But I try to do my best.
That's curious. So you have peaks in requests during a specific. When you were saying it, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's before Christmas, because I guess many releases will be in Christmas, but I do not have any idea. So when are those peaks? In summer, you said?
Summer for sure. Alessandro, you confirm that? Yes. So maybe it's slightly different from one year to another. So maybe 1 year the peak is from August to October, or begins in May until September, August. So yes, we that's why we took our vacation during holidays during Christmas. Yes, but in the summer we are always open and we take turns to go on holiday, because there are lots.
You are fully booked in summer.
Yes.
And why do you think? Why? I don't know if you have the answer, Alice or Alessandro, but why does that happen? Why is it summer like the peak for video games? Is it because they are preparing releases for Christmas, or what's the reason, or no reason?
I believe yes, preparing for the new releases, and
Yeah.
localization is taken into account in the early stages of the developing of a game. Do you agree, Alessandro?
Yeah, there are mostly probably two peaks during the year, but they move. They are not very, very consistent. Sometimes they move forward 1 month or backwards. It depends. But generally, there are two big release windows: the holidays during Christmas, for example, where a lot of people will have time to play a game, and so major publisher aim to release that time, and also before summer for the same reason, when someone will have a little bit more free time to play. So there are these two big windows, and the translations are done a few months before. So according to how early the translation is done before the finalizing of the version of the final version of the game, we will see a peak in requests.
As you can see behind me, I have a very old arcade machine. That's because I am a very old person as well. This is the type of video games I used to play. My question is, now I think Alice was introducing that. I guess you do a lot of continuous localization, right? Because video games are not like before, that you had a cartridge or a CD, you put it in your console and you played it, and that was all when you finish it. But now video games are online, they are in the cloud, and you keep on playing them, right? And they keep on enlarging them or adding variations and things like that. So is it like that? I mean, do you continue working on the same products, or you have like every 2 or 3 months a new video game? Or I would like to know how does the industry work, at the localization industry for video games work?
It depends. Maybe it happens that we work on a video game and then never see it again. But for the major part, yes, we work continuously on the updates and new releases for the same video game. Or maybe, for example, I can talk about Hi-Fi Rush. Was released on some consoles, and then they added new console, so we received new material to adapt for the new consoles. Or for mobile games, of course, there are a lot of updates, and sometimes they also they last for years. There's one mobile game that I work on since I arrived at Wabbit, and I'm still doing it. I really like it. Match-free mobile game.
Wow, that's fantastic. I mean, because that's related to another question that I have, and something that Alice and Alessandro, you have shared with us. Like the main things, of course, I think in every part of the translation localization industry, but the tools. How do you control the consistency, or how do you keep the consistency of those video games? Because as you have said, Alice, you started maybe 2 or 3 years ago with a video game. You have to keep if there are characters, the same name of the characters, the same terminology. How do you ensure that? How do you ensure that the process is perfect, is very good, as you do, and that's why customers trust you?
Well, of course, we use a lot of different cut tools, or tools that assist our work, and they are common in all kinds of translation, not only video game translation. So translators will be familiar with one or the other. There are a lot of different tools. For example, the most famous ones are either MemoQ or Trados, but there are still a lot of cheaper or lesser known ones that are still very much used every day. And these tools help us create glossaries, or as they are called, term bases. or translation memories that memorize all that we translated and have written on each and every game that we worked on. So if someone needs to pick up a game for a DLC that comes out 2 years after the game is released, we can go back and see everything that we worked on and not miss any name, location, superpower, and whatever that was translated before. We can come back as we worked on it the day before.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. That's super interesting because I understand that some young translators, or not young, but those who are starting, maybe they are still using Word or spreadsheets, which is okay. I mean, when you are starting and you don't know things, but of course there are tools that help you keep a consistent and high quality job. By the way, if any of you have questions, have comments, please drop your questions in the chat. You can make questions on LinkedIn, on YouTube, Facebook. We will see your questions here. Another question that I have is, we have entitled this chat, this interview, like the Untold power of video game translators. So what? And I think that with your experience, Alice, and of course with your experience as a translator as well, Alessandro, but now that probably you have to hire people, what do you look for when you are hiring a video game translator? What are the superpowers they need to have?
Maybe
do you want to answer it, Alice, or?
I can say a few, maybe, and then if Alessandro wants to add something, I would say maybe they are a bit boring superpower, but attention to detail. Maybe one can say yes, every translator must be very attentive to detail, but in video games it's very, very important. Think about translating, I don't know, abilities or achievements, challenges. You need to be precise. The translation is like a command. So when a person is playing, they need to have clear instruction to go on and proceed in the game and enjoy the experience. And we used to say that we are the nerdiest in the business, but being a bit nerd and knowing all this universe, I think it's useful also to be comfortable in this world and with other colleagues or clients. It's both of these superpowers can be learned, of course. So if you are not a nerd now, it's not that you cannot work in a video game translation ever. But I think they are very important.
Indeed, yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure, as you said it, Alice, a lot of these skills can be learned, but you, of course, you if you have an interest of the subject matter of the video game as a whole, as an industry, if you follow what happens in the industry, this is very helpful to see the trends, to see to learn what a game will require now, and learn that you will probably need all the skill that you learned on that game on another one in the future. You will also need to, of course, be very creative sometimes, as you said, because yes, sometimes you'll have to translate a lot of menus, items, and names of locations, characters, and they will start to be somewhat similar, and you will need to find a way to express them in your language in a very different way. There are a lot of mobile games that, of course, run year after year after year with a lot of content, and sometimes this content starts to overlap, and you will still need to find new names, new nice ways to describe things, and being very creative. I think it's very, very important because, of course, you will of course need to know your working languages very well.
Yeah.
But I think that creativity is the main component in this case.
How do you, for example, when you are looking at CVs, how can you know if a person is a creative person or not, or do you check, for example, a portfolio or something like that?
Well, yes, portfolios are always welcome. So if you are writing your CV to be a freelance translators, to be freelance translators, always try to put in all the information on what you worked on before. But of course, we also use short tests when we try to see if another freelance translators would be in a good spot to work with us. So we do some short tests, probably around 200, 250 words. So something between half an hour and an hour of work. And we always include some very technical segment, but we include jokes and very pop culture references, a little bit hidden reference, to see if the translator can pick them up and translate them in a way that is not necessarily too similar to the source text, but to something that relates to the target culture, in this case, Italian.
Fantastic. Yeah, because something that you have just said, Italian, how do you only translate from X language that I guess most of the times will be English into Italian, or do you also translate into other languages?
We mainly in the last few years translated into Italian, but in the last couple of years we started offering this service into other languages as well. We also plan this year to increase this capacity even more because we noticed that there's an interest in the market for that, and so we, for all the people that are working with us in this translation to other languages as well, we look forward to have people with those kinds of sensibilities to be able to translate everything in their culture as well as possible.
Yeah, I think you have said you two have said some things that are key, like creativity, like knowing the culture, your target culture. So this is not only about being a very good speaker of two languages, but it's also about having a lot of a cultural background and a lot of culture, pop culture, video game culture in this case, that helps you translate. One question that you have mentioned sometimes the word mobile games. What would you say is the percentage of your work in terms of how much is for mobile games, for those games played in a smartphone, and how much is for consoles or other devices or the cloud?
Well, do you want to talk about it, Alicia?
I'm not sure because what I wanted to say is that in terms of words translated, I can say I don't know, I don't have an answer. But my impression is that we work on every type of video games, but mobile games are more constant with updates and stuff. So my impression is I work more on mobile games, but also other type of video games. Consoles, AAA arrives, of course. So it's not a very precise answer. Please, Alessandro, integrate.
Well, as you said, console and PC games are very big. Mostly they are a big chunk of words that you work on in a short period of time for a couple months, 3 or 4 months, and then they mostly have little updates or DLCs down the line a few years after. While mobile games tend to be shorter because there's not much to read on a phone very often. So their content is shorter, but they are very constant because, as I said before, they receive a lot of updates year after year. So in the end, it's probably a 50-50 in the end. There are a lot of mobile games that are smaller, and there are a smaller number of mainline PC and console titles that are very big, and they take a lot of time and a lot of people to be translated. But in the end, I think more or less they are equal at the end of the year.
Okay, that's interesting. One question, I don't know if you will be able to answer, because I know that in this industry, these NDAs are all over the place and they do not let you talk or say title or say what you are doing. But what has been for both of you the most satisfying project you have worked in that you can talk about? A title that you say, oh my God, I translated this. I am the person behind this game, and you want everybody to know.
Hitman.
Hitman.
But yes, but I'm affectionated to that game because I think it's really good, and it was the first project I worked on as a reviewer, and I worked on Hitman 2 and 3.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm very affectionated to that, and I can say it because I am in the credits.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, translator in the credits. Remember, at the people who work. What about you, Alessandro?
Well, there are a lot of games that I worked on, but the game that Alice talked about before, Hi-Fi Rush, was a game that you worked on last year that was very fun. I own it and I played it a lot because it's very if you love music, it's a game that you'll enjoy very much, and it's really a quirky, funny music game with a lot of strange and weird characters, and it's fun. So it's very lighthearted, and it's a game that we enjoyed a lot translating, myself included.
Okay, cool. My last question is about what will be the advice you will give to anyone who's starting in the industry, or who has just finished studying translation or modern languages and wants, he or she loves video games and translation. What would you recommend that person to do if they want to work like in a company like yours?
Of course, there are a few paths one can follow to enter the industry, but maybe now that we are here and doing this interview, I would say that also networking is very important. Now it's maybe there's been a boost in this area, and translators have started to talking more with each other and reunite. And the video game translator community is very active and kind and warming. So you can talk and ask about information, guide to more senior translator to help you or give advice. I think it's a nice thing to do and useful.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, the work of a translator could seem a very lonely work, especially if you work from home and you mostly work as a freelancer. But I think that, as Alice said, networking is very important. You will find that you will work with other people as a translator, as a reviewer, as an editor. So build on those relationships. And I think that almost everybody that I worked with these last few years was a very kind person that helped us when we needed it, and we will be able to help whenever they need any advice or guides in this industry.
That's great. Always giving back to society, giving back to the people. Just because we have been helped, so let's help the other. Before we go, I would like to say that we have something else in common, which is a course coming soon, actually coming next week, which is Localizzazione Videogiochi Teoria Pratica, that it will be delivered by YouTube, and you can see here the URL. But if you go to translators.com, you will see it on the homepage. What is the course about? What will you cover there, and why would you recommend everybody to do it?
I believe we will cover every topic we discussed about in this interview, but more in depth. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, Alessandro.
No, don't worry. We, of course, our course will be a week-long course starting on the 25th, and will be a couple of hours each day for 5 lessons. And on each lesson, we will talk about a specific topic that a translator will, of course, encounter in their work. We will have a brief introduction on what is the situation at the moment in the video game market. What does it mean for a translator? What a translator do? What does a translator do while translating a video game? We will talk about different kinds of video games. As we talked today, mobile games, console and PC games are very different from one another. And so you will need different skills to handle them. And then in the end, we will also, and especially Alice will talk about inclusive languages, inclusive language to be able to be inclusive to all kinds of players in each and every video game that they play on. And in the end, we'll have a big 2-hour exercise, and we will see if what you learned was very clear, and we will see what can you improve in your translations when you will handle them for real.
Yeah, it sounds like a great course. So I strongly recommend everybody who has the, of course, English-Italian combination to take this course. The course will be delivered in Italian, and it will be fantastic. So who is better than people working as localization in the localization of video games? By the way, you have said it. You play video games, right? You still play video games, but do you, both of you, continue also with translation of video games? Alice has said she does, but do you also do translation of video games, Alessandro, or no longer?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I still do.
Okay, fantastic. So I mean, it's great when you see what you have done and you are playing it. Do you play in your own language, or are you like, oh no, I prefer to choose any other language?
No, I do. Honestly, if there's an Italian translation, I always try and play with it. If we did it, I will try it because I want to see it in the end, in the final product. But also, if it was done by someone else, I always enjoy to see, to learn as well new things that I never noticed before.
Perfect. By the way, something that I used to work many years ago when in the audiovisual industry, not on video games, but on translation of scripts for movies and subtitles and all that stuff. Something that probably you also know is that in that side of the industry, you do what you consider to be a good job, and then for example, the dubbing director comes and he or she changes everything. Does that happen in the video game industry? Do you get a lot of changes from, like, I don't know, from the company you work for, and they say, oh yeah, this is great, but we are going to change it just because we want to?
Well, we had the chance in a few games that we worked on to also follow all the dubbing process as well. So it was not a risk that we were running, because we were there and we were we will be following the dubbing process. So when the actor had any doubt, maybe something had to be changed slightly because it was too long, or something had to be changed last minute, we were there to help them and understand what they're working on. So especially with us, it didn't happen a lot, but I noticed a lot of games that sometimes find themselves with an audio and a subtitle that say two different things. It happened a lot on. It happens every day on Netflix. If you see something in your language, and those kinds of things go two separate ways. And
yeah, absolutely. Mainly with jokes, things like that.
Yeah.
Many of the times, because it's two different people who are working on the script for dubbing, and people who are working on subtitles are different, so they are not in touch. And then, of course, they solve the same challenge in a different way. It will be like very difficult that they solve the same joke in the same way. Well, Alessandro, Alice, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate that you came here for the interview. See you next week. I strongly recommend everybody to follow your course, to take your course. I think they are going to learn a lot, and then to put in practice all the experience that you have gained during this year in the activities that you will share with them. So again, thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Alfonso.
Thank you for having us, and I hope everybody here will follow our course next week, and we'll see you there then.
For sure. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.